Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm just going to be doing analyzing on GBP JPY and going through this trade I took earlier this week, and hopefully we all can learn something from this video. I'm just going to be going through my inner thought process when I was entering and everything. So let me actually just go to replay mode. Actually, I'll delete everything. We'll go to replay mode up until here. So on the first thing, on the 4-hour time frame, obviously you want to identify your trend. And from the naked eye, anyone can tell that the trend is towards the upside. If you draw a little trend line, you can see that the trend is obviously up. So I'm just gonna do that now. But from here, go towards like the 1-hour time frame. And my thought process on the 1 hour, well, basically if I know on the higher time frame, such as the 4-hour and daily, that long term are going bullish, within the smaller time frame such as the 1 hour, 15 and 5 minute, they're all giving me bearish signals. Like for example right here, if you look at this, a lot of people might start looking to sell over here, specifically because it's just consolidating, and it's kind of selling off a little bit instead of going up like it was. So a lot of people would start looking for sells, but the key thing is to stick to your initial bias, which is long. And the reason I say this is because if the higher time frame is bullish but then the smaller time frame is bearish, then that smaller time frame is basically telling you to don't enter for any buys until the smaller time frame switches to bearish. So to give you an example of that, if that's a little bit confusing, is if the what is that? Yeah. So this is a representation of the 4-hour. If the 4-hour is bearish, bullish like this, and then this is representation of the smaller time frame, and the smaller time frame is bearish like this, right? What the smaller time frame is saying is don't look for buys yet. Look for buys when I start forming bullish structure. So when I form bullish structure, that's when you want to look for buys, because you always have to make sure that the smaller time frame correlates with the higher time frame. So if you were to enter when the smaller time frame is bearish, you most likely you get stopped out and then the market will go your way. So to avoid that, make sure that the smaller time frame matches up with the higher time frame. Now, like we said, on the 1 hour we are kind of in a consolidation phase, but because I know I'm already looking for buys, I'm not really going to be looking at any sell side signals at all. I'm not looking to sell at all whatsoever. So from here, I'm going towards the 15-minute time frame to get a better look at what's happening. And now I have a really good look of what's happening now. I'm not going to focus on all the other stuff over here. I'm simply going to look at what's happening right now, because right now is much more like the current data shown in front of you right now is way more stronger than previous data all the way over here. This doesn't necessarily mean it's useless, but I'm saying that you should mostly focus on what's happening here. So thirdly, right in this area right here, what you want to do is what I was doing is I started analyzing market structure. So I noticed that we created this high point right over here. We created this high point where we initially started to sell off from first. We came back for a test. We came back to test this one more time, second time over here, and then third time over here. Now we tested this level multiple times, so this is a pretty strong level of resistance. I'm gonna label this quick time. Pretty strong level of resistance over here. So eventually, because we know that the market is going to move above and continue going higher, we know that we have to go above this level. So instead of me looking to sell here, I'm actually going to be looking at this level here as my take profit. Now, actually finding the entries for buy, you want to go. I went to the 5-minute time frame, or even the lower, the 1-minute time frame. And now this is what I did. Like I said before, the lower time frame over here, right over here, the 1 minute was telling me sell, 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 sell. Now, if I know that I want to buy, what do? That means I have to wait for a bullish structure to form before I look for buys. Now, bullish structure just means higher highs, higher lows. But right now, we're being presented with lower lows, lower highs. So what ended up happening is boom, all right, boom. So this little bit of information tells me so much. Over here, I can see that we broke past a previous lower high. And when we do have this is considered as a break of structure. Now, a break of structure is when the market is creating, a certain type of market movement. So, for example, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, and then the market takes out a previous lower high, and this signifies that as a break of structure, and this tells you that the market is strong and there's a lot of momentum to continue going towards the upside now. So now that I have, the bullish pressure that I was looking for, and now slowly bullish market structure is forming, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait for a little bit more market structure to form, a couple more highs to be made. Like right here, we had our low, we made a high, lower high, higher high. You can see this is higher than this, right? So now that there's a lot of bullish market structure being made in the market, now I know that, all right, soon I'm going to be presented with a viable opportunity. Now the real question is, how did I enter this trade? Well, as you can see, this area here that I highlighted, this entire area here, this is the initial move that broke this. So if it wasn't for this, then this wouldn't have been broken, right? So what I'm going to do is, I'm expecting that because this area came in here once and it moved really high, it took out a previous lower high, I'm expecting that the next time it comes into this untested level of support, it's going to do the exact same thing, right? It's like a mirror thing, like it's going to mirror the same move as this, but potentially go higher. Now I'm going to remove this right here. It's a little annoying. Let's make this gray Anesue. All right, perfect. So I'm going to be labeling this as my 1 minute POI, which is called point of interest. 1 minute point of interest. And I usually put like a symbol right over here to identify that. Now, like I said, I went over why I'm focusing on this zone, because this zone is what broke this. So I'm assuming next time it comes here, it's going to do the same thing. So now that we have bullish market structure forming, all I have to do is wait for market to come into my zone, and when it comes into my zone, that's what I'm going to be looking to enter. And boom, like once again, what do we see? We see that we broke structure again right over here. There's a lower high right over here, and we ended up breaking that lower high, right? And if you're having a little trouble finding where your lower highs is, I recommend going to the line chart, and this tells you market structure right here. It's pretty simple. So this was the lower high, and then as you can see, we broke it with the higher high. So going back to the charts, yeah, like I said, just waiting for market to come into here, and then we'll see what ends up happening. So what's happening right now? So initially, okay, so this is what's happening now. Well, this is a good sign. So basically, I noticed that we actually had this little pool of liquidity being made, right? And for the people who know what liquidity is, they'll understand this. For the people who don't, I will be making a second video following up on how to find liquidity, what liquidity is. It's really simple. But I saw that there's this pool of liquidity of equal lows over here. I know eventually we're gonna have to break past this, this level of support to stop everyone out, to stop the people who are buying at these levels right here. So basically, this was kind of like a second confirmation of price pushing back down here, because that was my thought. I was thinking that the price is gonna push down into this zone, and then from here, potentially go higher to test new highs. But what actually ended up happening is right over here. Perfect. So what actually ended up happening is the market broke below it like we did expect, yes, but it didn't go as low as we expected. It only moved about 2 pips, 2.8 pips, almost 3 pips. So now in my mind, I'm thinking, all right, we made the run of liquidity below. Now, does it really make sense for the market to fall all the way back into this area? And that's what I was thinking. And then I also saw that, like I said before, we have lower lows, lower highs. So we have our high, we have our low, we have our lower high, lower low, and then lower high. Now, not only did we make a run below liquidity, but we actually broke past this lower high right over here. And like I said, whenever a lower high is broken, this signifies bullish pressure coming in the market soon. So what I did is I took the horizontal line and I marked it from the start of the move down all the way to the close. To the open of this move up, right? So now for the people that are a little confused about why I marked this the way I did right here, a smaller explanation is I just marked this entire order block. I will be making videos on order block soon. Or you could say, go on the 1 minute time frame. It looks a little bit more confusing. Oh, I hate when this happens. Wait a sec. So there we go. It looks a little bit more confusing, but initially this entire thing right here is an order block. So we had that breaker structure. Lower high was broken. Bullish structure was formed, identifying a lot of momentum towards the upside, and targets were actually right over here at this high right here. Now, before I do play this out, I want to explain why I wasn't looking at this level anymore. The reason I wasn't was because we broke a structure of lower high over here, and because we broke that super early on, I assumed that it's going to continue going up and then make a pullback into the zone where we had that breaker structure and then continuation. But if this zone does not hold, then I have my second zone. So even if we do get stopped out on this one, which I will only be risking 1%, right? So even if you get stopped out on this one right here, you still have your second zone right over here. So even if you lose this one should work out. So as my entry, I had a limit right over here with a stop loss about 3 pips and take profit for about like 24 pips. Exactly, it was exactly right there. Stop loss was there, entry was there, and let's see what ends up happening. Boom. So it automatically comes to our entry. Not a good sign because it's not showing rejection, but then the next candle showed, you know, significant bullish power, and then from here we just continued going higher and higher and higher and higher. So let's see what ended up happening. My market pushes down, and then boom, right over here we push up. So this is how the trade actually ended up going. It was a 8-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Really good trade. Take profits really fast. But you know, just to make a better example of what I explained over here, I can do a visual, you know, like a drawing example. So for the people that are a little bit confused, this is what the market scenario was telling me. I saw that the market was pushing down on the smaller time frame, and on the smaller time frame, I'm not going to be taking this sell signal because I know that the higher time frame is bullish. So if I want to be in the trade for the long term and not the short term, right, then I'm going to know that I'm going to have to follow up with the higher time frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for the lower time frame to switch to bullish. So once I saw bullish pressure was coming in the market, right, we saw higher highs, higher lows, I was initially focusing on this area right over here because this is the start of this huge impulse. So what I was thinking is the market's going to come into here and then push up higher, right? But that's not what actually ended up happening. The market instead went pushed down, right, and then started consolidating, creating some liquidity. We ended up clearing that liquidity and not making it all the way back down, but we did clear that liquidity. And what ended up happening is we broke past a previous lower high, which was right over here. And then after that, what ended up happening is we retested and then we went up, right? We retested and then we went up. So we retested the move where the impulse started, and then we entered on that retest. So it's the same exact thought process through why we were entering here. It's just we had the same entry confirmation match over here, so that's why I entered over here. If this one didn't play out, then obviously I would be focusing on this level right here. So I hope that made a lot more sense to the people that were a little bit confused. But really all I really look for, right, in a market is I find my area of interest, I find my area of interest, and then from there I look for the breaker structure, identifying, you know, so if I'm looking for buys, I look for a bullish breaker structure of a previous lower high, right? Like for example, this area right over here. And you know, like I said, you can go towards the line chart. You can see, let me go back to replay mode here. You can see that from here we were, you know, we had a high, we had a low, we had a lower high, we had a lower low, and then we made a lower high. So you know, this is basically telling me bearish structure, and we broke this bearish structure. All we did is wait for the retest of here where the move started, and then from there we targeted the next highs, which were, you know, all the way over here. So that's basically all we really looked for. That's basically it. So I hope that was easy to understand, follow up with. And if there's any questions, please leave a like and comment below. I will be answering questions. And secondly, this week I will be posting a lot more videos on order blocks, liquidity, you know, market structure, how to analyze charts, top-down analysis, a bunch of things. So I hope you guys understood everything, and stay tuned for more. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. All right, thank you guys. Have a beautiful day.